The world's energy supply depends on a handful of strategic locations. But what happens when one of them suddenly becomes the center of a military confrontation? A single American strike, a single Iranian island, and suddenly oil markets. Naval commanders and world leaders are asking the same question. Was this only a warning or the beginning of a much larger campaign? Today, we're examining the reported US strike on KHARG Island, why it matters, and why the operation appeared carefully designed to send a message without triggering a complete shutdown of global energy supplies. This is the story of strategy, deterrence, and escalation, the escalation context. For months, tensions between the United States and Iran had been steadily increasing. Maritime incidents, missile exchanges, drone attacks, regional proxy conflicts. Each event pushed the relationship closer to open confrontation. Military analysts often describe this pattern as controlled escalation, where both sides increase pressure while trying to avoid an all-out war. But eventually, that balance becomes difficult to maintain. According to multiple reports and open-source intelligence assessments, U.S. military operations expanded beyond defensive actions and began targeting assets connected to Iran's military capabilities. Among the most discussed locations was KHARG Island. At first glance, KHARG Island appears to be a relatively small island in the Persian Gulf. In reality, it is one of Iran's most strategically significant locations. Historically, KHARG Island has handled a large share of Iran's crude oil exports. Its terminus, storage facilities, and loading infrastructure have made it a key economic asset for decades. Because of this importance, the island has also become heavily protected. Military radar, air defense systems, naval patrols, surveillance equipment, all are designed to protect one of Iran's most valuable strategic assets. Reports suggested that U.S. strikes focused on selected military facilities rather than widespread destruction of oil loading infrastructure. If accurate, this distinction is critical. Destroying export facilities would have had immediate consequences for global energy markets. Instead, the reported targeting pattern appeared aimed at military capabilities. This approach aligns with a broader military concept. Increase military pressure while limiting economic shock, even without destroying energy infrastructure. The strike carried enormous symbolic weight. It demonstrated reach, precision, and the ability to hold strategically important locations at risk. For Iran, the message was unmistakable. No location was beyond potential military reach. Why KHARG Island matters? KHARG Island's importance extends far beyond geography. It represents one of the main gateways through which Iranian oil reaches international markets. Every tanker departing from the island influences global energy supply. Whenever investors hear that KHARG Island may be under threat, oil prices often react almost immediately. Why? Because markets dislike uncertainty. Even temporary disruptions can affect shipping insurance, tanker routes, and commodity prices. This means KHARG Island is more than a military location. It is also an economic pressure point for military planners. However, striking such a location creates a difficult dilemma. Destroying military facilities may weaken an opponent. Destroying energy infrastructure, on the other hand, could affect countries around the world that rely on stable oil supplies. That distinction appears to have shaped operational decisions. Strategic analysis. One of the most interesting aspects of the reported strike is not what was hit. It's what reportedly was not hit. Military analysts have long argued that modern deterrence isn't always about causing maximum destruction. Sometimes it is about demonstrating capability while preserving future options. If reports are accurate, avoiding widespread damage to oil export infrastructure achieved several objectives. First, it reduced the likelihood of a global energy crisis. Second, it limited immediate economic disruption to international markets. Third, it preserved leverage. Once infrastructure is destroyed, rebuilding can take months or years. Leaving it largely intact keeps future military and diplomatic options available. Another possible reason involves international support. Countries that depend on Gulf energy exports generally prefer regional stability. Operations narrowly focused on military objectives may be easier to justify diplomatically than attacks, causing major economic disruption. This reflects an important principle of modern military planning. Precision can sometimes achieve more than destruction, the demonstration of control. Military power isn't measured only by what can be destroyed. Sometimes it's measured by what is intentionally left untouched. Imagine being able to strike any critical facility, yet choosing not to. That sends a different kind of message. It communicates confidence, control, precision, and restraint. Military strategists often describe this as escalation management. The goal isn't necessarily immediate victory. Instead, it's influencing an opponent's decisions by demonstrating accurate targeting while avoiding catastrophic economic consequences. A country may attempt to increase pressure without crossing thresholds that would trigger broader conflict. Whether that strategy succeeds depends entirely on how the opposing side interprets the signal. Iran's possible response. Whenever strategically important sites come under attack, governments face difficult choices. Respond immediately, exercise restraint, or choose indirect methods. Military analysts have discussed several possible responses that could arise in such situations. These include strengthening air defenses, increasing naval patrols, using regional proxy groups, expanding cyber operation, or pursuing diplomatic action through international institutions. Each option carries different risks. A direct military response could increase regional tensions. A restrained response might reduce the immediate risk of escalation but could be interpreted differently by domestic audiences. Because of these competing pressures, decision makers often balance military objectives with political, economic, and diplomatic considerations. Global consequences. Even limited strikes near major energy infrastructure can have global effects. Insurance premiums for commercial shipping may rise. Energy traders may adjust prices based on perceived risk. Naval forces from multiple countries may increase their presence to protect shipping routes. Financial markets often react before physical disruptions even occur. Sometimes perception alone is enough to move oil prices. This illustrates how interconnected today's world has become. A military action in one region can influence fuel costs, inflation expectations, shipping logistics, and investment decisions thousands of miles away. En conclusión, the reported strike on KHARG Island illustrates a broader reality of modern conflict. Military operations are no longer judged only by the number of targets destroyed. They are also judged by what they communicate. Capability, restraint, deterrence, and strategic intent. Whether the operation ultimately reduced tensions or contributed to further escalation remains a subject of ongoing analysis. One thing, however, is clear. When critical energy infrastructure and military strategy intersect, the consequences extend far beyond the battlefield. Because in today's world, sometimes the most powerful message is not what gets destroyed, but what is deliberately left standing. If you enjoyed this in-depth documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more analysis of global conflicts, military strategy, and international affairs. Thanks for watching.